Welcome to the 10th beer of Oktoberfest. Today we are drinking Oktoberfest from Southern Star Brewing in Conroe, Texas. And I have with me today Carla Edwards from Countywide Title in Plainview, Texas. Cheers, Carla.
Cheers, Tracy. That's good.
It is real good, right?
It is.
Oktoberfest is always one of my favorites. All right, so let's talk title.
Yes.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about Countywide Title here in Plainview.
Absolutely.
I know you guys have it split up, different people doing sort of different roles, or maybe not different roles, but different specializations. So what is it that you do specifically? Because title's a broad topic.
It is a broad topic. And so our company, Countywide Title Company, actually does everything from start to finish. And one of our taglines is from contract to closing, CTC, just like
there you go.
There you go.
Very fancy.
So when the realtor brings the contract in, that is where our work starts. We do the research of all of the real estate that's involved in that particular transaction. And if your property is, for instance, Lot 1, Block 2 of the Wizard Edition of Plainview, whatever it may be.
Is there a Wizard Edition?
We do not have
one. No, okay. I would want to live in the Wizard Edition.
Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it? So we go and we check all of the records for everything that is filed for that specific piece of property, because some people just think that your property is just your 1234 Smith Drive, and that's part of what it is, but you actually have a real legal description for your property, and so that's what we look, and we check names of the people that are buying and selling so that we know if there are any other title issues that may be out there.
Okay.
Once our research is done, it's created with the documents, and those are sent off to our attorneys who actually own Countywide Title, and they are a long-standing real estate and other practicing firm here in town, Owen Voss, Owen and Melton. So the firm itself doesn't own Countywide, but several of the attorneys from the company do.
Okay.
And they do the after we've done the research, they do the examination and provide us with the information for us to complete the commitment for title insurance. Okay. That is what we send out to everybody that says, hey, we looked at this property and we found that there were these certain easements on the property. We found that there was...
Can you tell what an easement is?
An easement. Hey, can you get from that property from the street? Maybe the neighbor needs to cross your property to get to the alley for some reason. Or if maybe the utility company has an easement across the back end of your property for a telephone line or an electrical line, a gas line, those kinds of easements are established. And then we find out whether or not is there a mortgage on the property that needs to be paid off, or have they been released? Maybe it's been paid and not released. And that's not an issue, but we do need to get that cleaned up before the intended buyer gets the property. One of the things that I find really interesting about title insurance is most people think of insurance as your homeowners and your car insurance, which is insuring you for future events.
Right.
But title insurance is insuring you for past events.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way.
So it's what's happened in the past on this particular property that could create a hazard for your title. And if you have a lender, they especially want to be protected.
It's weird that way, right?
It is strange that way. They want to make sure they're in first lien position because that is important to them.
Right.
And one of the other things that we see more often than we realize is if there's an unknown heir that actually
and that's one of the other title issues, along with easements and things that you talked about.
It is.
So an unknown heir.
An unknown heir. Say you've known Johnny for a long time and he has lived with his grandmother. He helped her until Grandma passed away. Now Johnny wants to sell the house and you've known him for a long time, and he comes to you, hey, I want to sell this house to you for $20,000. You've known me all my life. Grandma left it to me. Just give me the money and I'll sign a deed. Yeah. And if you're not suspecting, you may find out Grandma died without a will, and Johnny was never entitled to the property to sell it to you in the first place. So that's one of the things that we come across quite often, more so than I would like.
I'm
So
sure
you want
that's
to
right.
make sure the proper people are actually in title in order to convey the property to you,
Yeah.
and that you have marketable title to the property.
And that's all what you do. Is you
That is
go,
what we
that's
do.
part of that research, is
It
figuring
is.
all of that out. Or
Mm-hmm.
in the event that there's an unknown, the insurance is providing coverage on that.
We do our best due diligence to make sure that we have, excuse me, reviewed and researched, and then work with the buyers and the sellers to cure any title issues so that we can get it to the place that we can close it. And then that is what your title insurance is protecting you from, anything that might have been mistakenly missed, which we hope does not happen. We try to make sure that doesn't happen. But the other part of that then is we bring you to closing with the realtor.
Right.
And we actually make sure that all the money comes in and the realtors get paid, and all of the bills from the file get paid, like your pest inspections and your home inspections, if we have other invoices, surveys.
Sure.
And the lender has complied with all of their parts of it, and we've got the money and we're ready to record, ready to send everybody on their way, and everybody's happy, hopefully.
Hopefully, right?
Hopefully. You know, we're not the kind of business where you're driving down the street and you go, I need to go in there. So we do rely a lot on realtors to make a connection with us, and hopefully we have a good connection with the realtors that we work with, so that they want to continue to bring their clients to us.
Sure.
And that's important to us, to try to provide a good job for everybody that's involved and make it not as scary. It's a frightening thing, especially a first-time homeowner that is young and comes in and they have a stack of papers they've got to sign, and their whole life is flashing before their eyes. So you want to make it a little bit less frightening for them, so that they are comfortable and can get away with feeling like, you know, that was a good experience and I did a good thing. And I try to tell them, especially the young ones, I am so proud of you for doing this. We have more and more young single people that are buying homes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've seen that a lot, too. That's a lot of them coming through.
It's pretty amazing to be able to be young and do that.
Yeah.
Have that wherewithal.
Right. So to me, it feels like you guys, it's a huge project management job, because it's not just, it seems like it starts out as it's title insurance, but the escrow services and all the services you provide as a bundle around that.
Yes.
You're talking about all the receipts that come in from the inspectors and stuff.
Correct.
You're tracking down all kinds of pieces, making sure all kinds of stuff is signed. How much time does that take on average for a normal home transfer? Or title
For
transfer?
a normal residential file, to keep up with all of that, it's hard to put an actual number on the amount of time, because we're juggling multiple files at the same time. So we may be working in one file until something else comes along on the next file that is imperative that we get taken care of. But there is a bit of time involved in it. From the research part of it, that can take up to a couple of weeks. The abstractor maybe takes a couple of days to get it done. Get it over to the attorney, that's another few days or so. Get it back, issue the commitment, get that out, let people ask questions. So there is a little bit of time involved.
So then on a cash purchase, if someone came in or just writing a check for it, it would still take about 2 weeks.
It would still take about 2 weeks. Obviously, if we have previous title work, we can maybe turn it around a little quicker, because we could just come from the previous date where we last researched the property. And even then, we have a lot of our information on the computer. So sometimes it's easy to just go ahead and get that research pretty quickly. The quickest one I ever did, which was a cash transaction, we got it in on a Friday and we closed on Monday, the following Monday. So we were able to get it turned around in really short order. I'm not saying that always happens. But it worked out. It just worked out. But we will always work with the clients and the realtors to do the best that we possibly can to accommodate, whether they need to come here and sign, or we've had people that were in nursing homes. Do we need to go there to accommodate them in a nursing home? I actually had a closing in Tulia this morning.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
Went up there and did a closing, and that
Oh, that's
worked out
cool.
really well.
So what do you do when someone maybe has moved off and is selling a piece of property? How do you handle that?
That's a good question, Tracy. Actually, what we do is we can send documents by email to the recipient to print the documents with our instructions. They'll take those documents then to a notary and sign everything. We'll provide either a UPS or a FedEx label, and then they can put everything back in an envelope and ship it back to us.
Just a regular notary on their end?
Just a regular notary on their end.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it works out really well. Sometimes we have both the buyer and the seller that we're trying to accommodate in that fashion, where they're both not in Plainview, but maybe buying a house here, seller's already moved off, buyer hasn't moved to Plainview yet or hasn't come to Plainview. And so we put everything together in a nice little package and send it out to them via email. Yeah. You know, now they also have something that's called a remote online notary, and you can actually do notarizations via a webcam, and it's a certain software program that you have to use because it has to be videoed and documented, and the person signing the affiant has to provide a driver's license copy and some other identification. But they're moving and progressing all the time with how they're going to be able to do better transactions and closings in the future. We've been prepping for possibly doing the types of closings where, like you do with a UPS or FedEx, where you sign the pad one time.
Oh, really?
And then it would put the signature on all of the loan documents. Now, all of the lenders are not on board with that yet, but there are a lot you've probably noticed that have gone to the online signatures or e-signatures for a number of their loan docs, and then they send us what they call the ones that need to be wet signed. Right. And it's usually your note and your deed of trust and maybe a few other documents, which really reduces the package. Yeah. And it's a really nice way to handle less document and paperwork.
Well, that would save on writer's cramp, too. I warn everybody who's coming in to buy a house, stretch your hand before you show up.
Get that exercise in, get you one of those stress balls, and we let them take the pen with them if there's any ink left. So.
Well, yeah, it's probably adhered to their hand, right? It's hard to pry it away.
Well, and the funny part is the people that have to sign their middle name, and they're not used to doing that. I had one girl that stopped one time, and she said, I can't remember how to do the J, because she had never signed her middle name very much. You know, she had to stop. Okay, how's that go? So you just laugh and go on.
That's funny. I had a married couple one time that were selling their house. They were moving, and the wife had already moved, so the husband had gotten power of attorney and was signing for her, and it was like his name as power of attorney for. Everywhere it had to be signed.
Everywhere.
It's like, if I had known it was going to be this, I would not have let her go ahead of me.
I agree. And it's not as bad on the seller side because the seller doesn't have as many documents. But if you've got a loan package, and I actually did, the one I did in Tulia this morning, it was the son signing for both his mother and his dad. Oh, wow. Power of attorney.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That was a loan closing. We usually allow about 45 minutes to an hour for a buyer to sign a loan package. Sellers usually take 15 minutes or less. Sure. And this one, with all of the writing, as you just explained, I was there for about an hour and 20 minutes while he signed all of those papers to do that. But it's part of the job. It doesn't happen all night.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. So what other sort of things do you guys do inside the office? You talked about 1031 before we were videoing. You talked about 1031 tax deferred exchange.
Yes.
So first, explain what that is for somebody who doesn't know, and then tell us a little bit about the process.
Okay. So a 1031 tax deferred exchange is where you buy property and you sell it. You put the money in a 1031 company who has a period of time that they can hold the money for you to identify another piece of property, and then that money is used to purchase the new property. And that means that you don't have to pay the capital gains on the property. So, which is huge for that movement of money in an investment type account. It is for investment types of accounts. So I do a lot of 1031 exchanges. I work with those people that want to do those. And I also do a lot of commercial transactions. That's one of my specialties that I work in. And any of those other types of real estate transactions that are just a little bit different or a little bit odd, Sometimes we do some that have heirs, that multiple heirs that are selling a piece of property in fractional interests. Had 21 heirs not too long ago.
Oh, wow.
It was interesting. So I do work in those types of files more particularly than I do in the residential, because Pam Shirley in our office is very experienced in our residential closings, and she handles most of those for us. So I'm very appreciative to her for doing that.
Well, it's good to be able to divide that workload too, and
It is.
have some specialties within the group. So you bring in a
Absolutely.
different skill set, because one person, a single person, would have difficulty, I think, covering that whole gamut. of
The
what you
whole
guys do.
spectrum, that's true. Now, like I said, I will do some residential, and
Sure.
obviously we'll pick them up because we just had a lot of transactions lately. But it's a blessing. I'm very thankful that we've had so much business lately, and
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on it, but I'm not gonna complain. It's all good.
That's good. You talked a little earlier about the attorneys
Yes.
doing the paperwork and owning part, not the office, but some of the attorneys that own part of the company.
Yes.
What is it that the attorneys are providing to the transfer process? Because I know you could do an abstract as opposed to title.
Okay.
How is that different? And
How's
what
that
is
different?
It, yeah, that they do.
A long time ago, people actually closed on abstracts.
Okay.
And so an abstract would be a gathering of all of the documents filed for record at the courthouse in a particular transaction on a particular piece of property. And then that's bound together and numbered, and those would be given to an attorney to examine, and they would render an opinion. What a lot of the lenders found out was that you could do that, and it was great as long as that attorney was still alive or had partners, that if there were an issue with the title, if perhaps they didn't get the lien that was supposed to have been paid off, you could go back to them and have them correct that and get that taken care of. Title insurance steps in if there is a claim on a policy because of not finding a lien or not finding a title issue. Then you can actually file a claim and be reimbursed for up to the sales price of the property. And when the lenders realized they had nothing to back them when they were doing abstracts, then they started leaning a little bit more toward the title insurance. Our underwriter is Stewart Title Guarantee Company. It's one of the largest in the nation, and a very good company, very strong. We've been very happy with them, and that's who we write for. And so that's the difference between an abstract and title insurance. We do occasionally have people that want an abstract, and they will ask us to prepare one. It's difficult to get it together and put it in a binding, and so they cost a little bit more. It's really not as economical, but we will still prepare one. I don't think we've done an abstract probably in the last 5 years, maybe. It's been a while since we've done one, because the title insurance is a little bit closer to what everybody needs, fits the needs better. But the attorneys, they could actually examine the abstract if that were the choice of the customer. And in this instance, for title insurance, they do the examinations for our commitments and policies, which is what is ultimately issued. Also, they are available to help with any title issues if those need to be cleared up. It's not a requirement. That was very important to our attorneys, that everybody understand they have the right to have their own attorney. So if you come to us and you already have an attorney that you've worked with, we're more than happy to work with that attorney.
Sure.
It's not a requirement to use our attorneys just to close it countywide, but they do facilitate helping get us the warranty deeds and maybe releases or other documents that we may need for the closing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is there anything, I know title's a broad topic, is there anything else I haven't asked you that we really should tell someone?
I think you've covered quite a bit.
Okay. All right, well, good.
Kind of hit on all of the little specificities that involve title insurance.
Well, cool.
Good.
We are back with Carla Edwards from Countywide Title in Plainview, Texas, and we're going to find out a little bit about Carla now. So, Carla, you've been involved in title for how long? At Countywide? Well, just title in general, I guess.
Okay, title in general, and specifically here at Countywide, it will be 22 years next May.
Oh, wow. All right.
So I was born and raised in Plainview. Been here all my life. Went to school here.
So that explains how you got here.
It explains how I got here. I just never left. My husband was here, and we met each other after high school, actually, and started dating and ended up getting married and having children, raised our children here. My mother and dad were here. His mother was here. So what happened was I decided that I had an interest in the legal field, and for some reason, instead of going on into law school, I ended up taking a course in like legal secretary skills.
Okay.
And that was a community, not a community, but I guess it was like a community college here. It was just like a 9-month course. And after I got out of that, I ended up going to work for an attorney here in town, and I worked for him for about 8 years. After I left that, and I really enjoyed the work completely, but I left that and went to work for the city of Plainview. And at that time, the city had not integrated the EMS services with the fire department. So that's what they were in the process of doing, was integration of the EMS and bringing the EMS to the city to be under the city's control, and working with the firefighters to cross-train. Okay. And I went in to be the secretary basically for the fire marshal and the fire chief, and to assist in whatever they needed. Actually was what it was. It ended up being whatever they needed. So I ended up getting my EMT certification, which was a totally different bend, but that was fine. It worked out really well, and I worked there at the fire department for about 4 years. Really loved it. Met a lot of nice people. I would be the third man on the ambulance sometimes. I would help work the radio, a few things like that. City had some adjustments. They had paid a company to come in and just kind of reevaluate how everything was being done. And it was determined that my particular position, which I did all the billing for the EMS as well, really could be handled maybe more efficiently in the water department, which I didn't completely understand that. But at any rate, I was asked to stay on with the city, but at the time my heart just told me, let's look at something else. And about a month after I chose to do that, local attorney Lanny Voss called me up and said, hey, I think we may have an opening for you if you'd come down here. And I went to work for Gene Owen and Red Owen, Lanny Voss, Paul Lyle, and now Jared Melton, who is also part of the firm, and ended up working with them for about 13 years with the time they bought the title company. In the meantime, I finished my Bachelor of Arts degree with Wayland and completed that, and decided I enjoyed what I did, so I didn't really need to change jobs. Shortly after is when they bought the title company, and they said, hey, we found something for you to do. So I said, you know what, we'll all hold hands and jump. And here we are 22 years later. I think in a funny sort of way, they are great guys, and they all have different personalities, and I love each and every one of them, but I think I might have been the only one that could handle each of their personalities, you know, and because I'd already been with them for a long period of time, but I feel like it has worked out really well. I hope they feel that the same way. I'm certainly very happy here, and I've been here, like I said, for the 22 years, so have no intents of retiring at any point.
That's good.
I don't.
That's good.
So that's how I ended up here, and I still enjoy it. My legal background, I do have certification as a certified paralegal. I've had that since 1992.
Wow. All right.
At the time that I received my certification, there were only 8 in the state of Texas.
Wow.
Yes, and
so you were number 8?
Well, I don't know if I was number 8 or not, but myself and 2 other ladies that were from Plainview, and we received our certifications at the time, and I found that was very beneficial for coming into this. If I didn't already have the knowledge and had worked with real estate with the attorneys, I think I would have been pretty lost.
Okay.
Coming here, I already understood the lingo, I understood the process, I understood the documents, all of which is very important and necessary. I did end up going to a title school, TLTA, which is Texas Land Title Association, does put on once a year a really great title school, and I ended up going to that and spent about a week just to kind of build up more of what we needed to know. And I've had great resources. Stewart Title has offered great resources. I've met lots of people in the industry who have offered wonderful advice and help whenever you need it. And I think that's true with any job that you start out with. You find out who's already out there that can give you some advice and help you out. There's always somebody to lean on, and there's always a book you can look at. So I did understand that I needed to reach out to some other people and learn it. And I did learn to do the 1031s just through working with other people that were doing 1031s and through our attorneys who understood the 1031s as well.
That's cool. Is there a special certification for that, or it was just a learned process?
It was just a learned process, being able to understand how they work and what needs to be done to make it work.
Just another layer of intricacy on top of what's already happening with
Absolutely.
title. Interesting. All right. So, talked about raising the family here.
Yes.
What do you do when you're not involved in title?
Wow, that's a good question. My husband's retired and has
Or do you do anything?
Do I do anything
is there anything outside
this?
of title?
Do I have a life besides this?
Back in the summer, I don't think you guys did.
No, we didn't.
Every time I came in, it was like everybody's hair's on fire. There's so much going on.
I think I had a little singed in the
Cut
back.
the singe off?
So, my husband is retired, and he's been retired for a couple of years. He is really into antique cars, which we do have an antique 1933 Ford that was my father's that he ended up restoring. That's his baby, so he takes care of all of that. My thing is I love to travel. And I have a very good close girlfriend, and we do quite a bit of traveling together and just hang out and shop. And
That's cool.
It's our motto. Our motto is let's go shop. But other than that, we enjoy spending time together. We have a cat.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, and our daughter lives in Florida. She's married, lives out there, and our son lives in San Antonio. And so I do like visiting with them and hanging out with them.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So have you guys been to Russell's Travel Center?
I have not.
It's on Route 66. Oh, I-40. Route 66, same thing.
I understand.
Yeah, I knew you did. Somebody else who's watching may be like, what are you talking about?
Yes, I am that old.
Route 66. That's
What
not even
is
on the
that?
map anymore, exactly.
I know it.
It is near, I want to say it's a little bit west of Tucumcari.
Oh, okay.
He has so it's not really a truck stop, but sort of, restaurant, gas station, etc. But there's a giant car museum in the back.
Oh.
It is really cool. If you're
goodness.
ever on the way up that direction to go to Albuquerque or somewhere, stop in at Russell's.
Well, I have to mention that, yes. Okay. We do have plans to go to Detroit next summer. Okay. To go up to the Henry Ford Museum.
Oh, cool.
And there's some things up there that my husband wanted to look at, so I said, okay, you can pick it this time. my picks are more like Hawaii or Alaska. Let's go to the fun stuff. So he gets to pick this time.
All right, well, that's good for him.
Yeah,
he gets to win sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
Once in a
while. All right, so you've lived in Plainview your whole life?
I have.
What keeps you here? What do you love about Plainview?
The people. Absolutely the people. And that's what we find when we do closings for others that are coming in and moving to Plainview from another area. They've been here maybe passing through, or they've had family or friends. They love the people. The people here want to include you. They want you to be a part of the community. They want you to enjoy living here. And I think that's important for anybody that moves into town, is they feel included. We're small enough still that we don't have as many of the scary things that a lot of the bigger cities may encounter, and I like that. Yeah. I like that I still know a lot of my neighbors, and I like the fact that when my kids were growing up that we didn't have to worry about them riding their bicycles down the street, kind of a thing. Yeah. I know that happens in other small cities, but it's just a good community. And it's growing, and we have a lot of people that really care about the community and
That's
really
cool.
want it to become better.
So for those of you who don't know, and I'll try to get a picture and put it in the video, what's with all the cows? I mean, I know, but what's with
sure,
If you live in Amarillo, you've seen the horses. Plainview has the cows.
cows.
If you don't live in Amarillo or Plainview, you may not know what we're talking about.
Right.
But
We have all these cows that are decorated, and even a map so you can go around and see all the different ones. It's been up for a long time. I wish they'd kind of either revitalize it or maybe push it a little bit more, but it's just interesting to see all the different cows. McDonald's always thought was really cute because they had the mama cow and then the baby calf.
Right.
There was
Painted
one,
up like Ronald.
yeah,
McDonald.
Ronald McDonald, and then they had one that was it was downtown. It was a Monopoly, had the Monopoly,
Yeah.
on it, and
I've seen the dominoes. They've got
Yes.
one, and there's
the
several courthouse and several
Yeah.
just murals on them.
Right. So it's just some interesting, fun things to go and look at. Go around, take a picture with the cow or steer. There's some of them are steers.
That's right. Some of them are steers.
As my mother, who grew up on a farm, would
Those are not all
politely
cows.
remind me that they're not all cows. I ended up being the city girl, if you want to call it that.
That's cool. So what is it you love to do in Plainview?
What do I love to do in Plainview?
But for somebody either maybe visiting or somebody moving here, what's something cool they've got to go see and do?
I am involved in Rotary. I've been in Rotary for a number of years.
Cool.
It's a good group of people.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of good community things. They did put in a disc golf course for all of those that are interested in disc golf. And
Do you play disc golf?
I don't.
No, okay.
I don't. It looks really interesting, but I'm pretty klutzy, so I'm not quite sure how that would end up. But I know a lot of people really like it, and I've heard people come specifically to Plainview to actually play the disc golf, and they have tournaments. And so we do have that. We do have community concerts that come to the town and have maybe 6 concerts a year, which are pretty interesting and a lot of fun. Wayland has the Black Box Theater, and I enjoy that quite a bit. I do enjoy going to plays, and I love watching the kids that are, I say kids, they're college students, but they're still kids to me. But
Everybody younger than you is a kid.
It
right?
is,
But it's
yeah.
weird how that works.
It
Yes.
was strange how that happens, except I don't know how they're getting older and I'm not, but you know how that...
That is weird also.
It is very weird. But we do have activities like that. We have the Fair Theater downtown, which was a restored movie theater, and they do plays and some different types of community activities.
Yeah.
It's very neat. You ought to look at it sometime, down on Broadway. So there are a few things to do around town besides the cows.
That's very cool. All right. Well, Carla, thank you for visiting with
Thank
me
you.
today
You're
and
very
talking about
welcome.
Countywide and talking about you.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming by.
You
Thank
bet.
you for the beer. I
You
appreciate
bet.
that. Man, that's good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, we will see you in the next 12 beers of Oktoberfest, which will be the 11th beer of Oktoberfest.